Welcome everyone. We need to continue in on this Civil 3D project that we have started. And when we left off, last time we were all together, this is the state of the project that we were looking at. And all of us had slightly different versions of this profile view. So in these videos, what I'm going to do is address some of these issues that are here. And to do that, I'm actually just going to kind of wrap back around and I'm just going to recreate this. So once we do that, we're going to make an edit or two with this surface. And then we are going to put a road profile along Eagle Avenue. So it'll probably take a couple chapters here in this video series. So let's get started. So one of the first things that I can do is select this profile view, and I'm just going to press delete. And I also then, to truly make sure that I am cleaned up, over here in the project browser, I am going to move down alignments and look for any profile information. And notice there is profiles and profile views, and both are gone. So I truly have cleaned that up. So let's put this back, kind of go at a step at a time here. If I navigate back to home, create a profile, and I'm going to create a surface profile. And here's where we're going to start. So I'm going to use Eagle Avenue, which is great. That's what we were working on. And whatever you named your surface, Rob's Oceanfront Bird Sanctuary is mine. And the start and finish from 1937 to 1937 is great. So I'll click OK or Add. Right, I'm taking this data and pushing it down now to a new profile. So I'm going to say I want to draw this in profile, and all that's going to happen is I'm going to get a bunch more dialog boxes. So let's look at these. All right. So each dialog box corresponds with what's over in this left-hand column. And notice there's a triangle by general. And these are just different pages of settings. And clearly Civil 3D has more settings than it needs. There's just a little too much flexibility here. So first page, general. We just put those in. Eagle Avenue to a surface. And I'm going to click next. So this station range, I'm going to leave this completely alone, saying that I want a user specified range. So if you show automatic, move it down to user specified. Click next. I'm going to go back. So this specified range is the length along Eagle Avenue. Remember the alignments we created, they started at 0. And if you progress all the way around from west to east, then go up north and then back west to the cul-de-sac, you'd find that that alignment ends at 1919.37 feet, and that's where that end value comes from. So I'll click next and move on. And now we're looking at heights. And here, depending on this adjustment, is how tall our chart is going to be. So let's say again, we want to be user specified. And let's say we're going to go from 540 to, how about 600? And of course, right, Civil 3D in this automatic option is just picking what's the lowest elevation of our alignment and what's the highest elevation of our alignment. If I'm making a chart, I always want even numbers to be the bottom of that ordinate axis and an even number to be the top of the ordinate axis. If we were making a couple mile long road, we may need to split these views into multiple segments, and each segment may need its own sheet. So that's what this next area would be. We're okay with what we have, and so I'm going to click next. And here I'm going to leave all this alone. I am looking at my display options. We'll come back if we need to and change this later. So I'm going to click next, and now there's this thing called data bands. So here I'm going to select none, just no bands, right? We're gonna make some adjustments later. And the no bands is what shows up on the bottom of the profile view. Let's see what shows up on the top of the profile view. Notice it's highlighted here, and there's no bands, which is what we've asked for. So again, we're going to add these later. So I'm going to click next. And here it's asking us how do we want to hatch this chart? And there's multiple options. Hatching between existing earth and the design, depending on cut or depending on fill, or potentially multiple options of existing land, or some custom feature. We're not going to worry about it at all, and I will say create profile view. And so now Civil 3D is simply asking me where to put it. I happen to recognize that I'm going to be selecting the bottom right-hand corner of the location of this new profile view, so I'll move away a bit and click. I kind of missed it anyway, so if I hit escape a couple times, notice there's a grip here. This is this move grip. I can simply select that grip and then drag my profile view. All right. So if I look into, here's this 0, here's my alignment progressing along. Around there's 700 feet, 800, 900, 1,000. I come back around here. Sorry, keep coming up. Now I'm around 1,700, 1,800, 1,900, 1,990, 1,919 feet. And if we looked at that exact point, it would be 0.37. So that's exactly where that alignment ends. All right. So now let's adjust this chart a little bit now that we get a chance to see what it looks like. So I'm going to zoom in on the left-hand side. Notice I see a scale of 540, then 550, and then it jumps right up to 600. I'm like, huh, what? Doesn't make any sense. And if I look at the location, we'll probably adjust the location a little bit as well, just so that we understand how. All right. So let's make some of these adjustments. And I'd also like to see the road markers, meaning every 100 feet marked on this as well. So now that I have my profile selected, I can either right click or I can look at this option up here to say I want to look at my profile style. So I will do that, and I'm going to get a dialog box. I thought. Click my profile, look at the profile style, and I am missing that dialog box somewhere. And I'm going to have to figure out where that went. Okay, so it looks like there's some kind of issue with my screen recording and dialog boxes. That command's not working for me. So I'm going to select this chart again and simply right click and say I want to see the profile view style here under a right click. And there's the dialog box that we need to take a look at. So we're going to look at the first things first. What is hard for you to see immediately, this section right here is at 1,900 feet and the right hand side is at 0. And because the road starts at 0 and progresses to the right, I would prefer this chart to start at 0 on the left and progress to the right. And in this first window here called vertical axes that just popped up, actually I can navigate to information, right? So here's this profile view. So I'm going to change the name to Eagle Avenue. We want everything to be consistent for a particular road. So then on this graph, I have the ability to read from either right to left or from left to right. Depends on which way the road alignment distances are laid out. Ours our left to right, so let's choose that for the graph as well. Scale's fine with me, and move on next, and we can see there's some grid and a bunch of stuff depending on where we're going to put our ends of our grids. And so then I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to move on to titles, and we can adjust what this title says and how big it is. So to start with, let's make it a 1/4 inch high. Ooh, that was disappointing. I have to get back into those style properties. So title, annotation, 1/4 inch high. And I'd like to change what the text is, but I can't change it in here. This is simply a display. I have to activate this editing dialog box. If I click into that, I get another dialog box, and it's very difficult to see in the recorded video what this is. But somewhere in here, it talks about the parent alignment, and then it says east-west road. I'm simply going to select east-west road as text and delete it and click OK. Get rid of that. So now it says parent alignment profile. So I'm happy with that. Here is where it is. Left and right, it's at the top. It has a center justification. The x-axis office is 0, so exactly on center. The y offset is a 1/4 inch above the top. Again, little too much information here. As users, we probably don't need it. So horizontal axes. We want to put labels on here, and I'm not going to worry about horizontal for now, but notice we can do major and minor tick details. So let's go to vertical, and remember the labeling that we saw of 540 and then 550 and 60? Let's change our label intervals to every 10 feet. Our minor tick labels to 10 feet is so they're the same. And our text height is 150 is fine. So let's click apply there. And text style. Those are starting to look good. I'm going to click OK and get out of this box and put the chart a little closer on the screen here. So I'm going to click OK. Come back over and click my chart, grab the grip, and drag it back over. And so we get a chance to see that we've adjusted this, and we can get 550, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 600. Notice it's inside the graph, though. That's a bit ugly. And notice the right side is adjusted, but not the left side. So we're beginning to see, again, that there's quite a bit to change and some duplication that we need to deal with. So back to these style properties. And back to vertical axes. Okay, so we just adjusted all of these, and notice right up top there's the right-hand side, and the left-hand side is different. So let's adjust the left-hand side. Notice it's 25 feet. We want to adjust it down to 10. And there is, where are we going to put this stuff. There's this X and Y offset. So I'm going to click apply. Notice my text went inside the start of the chart. I want it outside the chart. So on my X offset, I'm going to put in a negative value. And I happen to believe that a negative 0.25 is probably more practical. So I'm going to click apply. I can see the text moves out, and I'm happy. Let's get the right-hand side text out of the chart as well. And here, if we click get rid of the negative value, move it to a positive 0.25 outside, looks good. And I would prefer to have my lines be my text directly on the line that it refers to. So I'm going to choose a 0y offset. And then I'm going to repeat that on the left-hand side as well. All right. So then I'm going to move to a summary. Look at the display. Oh, sorry. I'm going to move to display and expand this dialog box a little bit. And I can see that quite a bit of information is turned off. Well, and that's okay because that's what we did when we created this chart. We turned quite a few things off. So I'm going to ask Civil 3D to turn the bottom axis tick mark on and the minor tick mark on the bottom, and the bottom axis annotation major, and click apply. And I think every 100 feet shows up, and I also get a tick mark at every 50 feet. I'm happy with that, and we've got a pretty nice chart now. If I zoom in, I get a much better picture of what we're actually looking at. Okay, so that helps us understand how better to get a profile view that we to visually show up how we want it. And so I think this is a good place to break this chapter, and we're going to come back in the next section and create a design profile. Hope this is helpful, and we will see you in the next section.